probably end up selling it. Who knows? We end up needing it again.
Did cash register come in yet?
I canceled that. Figure we could just use a cigar box till we got busier.
Yeah, you're probably right. After the cake was gone when we opened, no one's come in. Why do you think that is?
I don't know.
Well, I don't want you to get discouraged because we have enough apples to last us till October.
Thanks, Betty.
You're welcome.
Well, look, Steve, it's Montgomery Ward himself.
Howdy, fellas.
How much you sell today, Mr. Ward? Ready to buy my farm for me?
Hush up, Gus. Leave him alone. Miss Purvis, I think what you're doing is a real fine thing. Don't pay attention to him.
How much you spending there, Mr. Rockefeller?
Well, you fellas are welcome inside any time. Even you, Gus.
Even you, Gus.
Well, if it isn't Mr. Sears and Mrs. Roebuck.
Hello, Hopi.
This is my friend Agnes Blair. Agnes and her husband just moved to Waller.
Mrs. Blair?
Mrs. Blair.
Oh, Agnes, dear. Just call me Agnes.
I just wanted to show Agnes our town's latest enterprise. My older brother, Lester, he helped with the legal details. And Millard offered Mr. Purvis free haircuts till they got on their feet.
Really?
Yes, they've been quite helpful.
Betty, explain to Agnes how this all works and about the angel that appeared to AD.
It wasn't an angel.
It might have been an angel. Not really sure what it was.
Well, we're calling it a revelation.
Really?
All I know is I was supposed to sell everything and open this place.
Tell her the other part.
Not gonna charge a profit.
Really?
People feel led to. They can give us a free will offering, but...
Then I suppose you're a church-going man, Mr. Purvis.
Well, truthfully, I wasn't until all this.
Now you can't keep them out of church.
Not our church. But we're thankful that they're in church somewhere.
Of course. I'd like to take a little look around, if I may.
Oh, yes, I'll show you some new things that we just got in.
Well, this is a nice clear space on the counter.
Yeah, we're gonna put the cash register there, but I decided the cigar box would do.
You know, Miller just brought me a big bunch of strawberries from Hempstead. I was thinking about making up some strawberry preserves. But Millard and I couldn't eat that many in months.
The deacon, not a big fan of your preserves?
He says they make him break out, but he eats them anyway. That's love for you. You know, I bet you could fit about 6 mason jars right here on the counter. People could pick up a jar when they check out.
Okay, but we're gonna put the cash register there if we ever... Just bring them by.
Wonderful.
I don't think I could just sell everything and do what you've done. Even if my husband did have a revelation.
I understand. But I learned that when my husband hears from God, it's real. And then I start hearing from God. And even if I don't, if I follow my husband, God honors that.
AD, have you seen Hopi?
She is around here somewhere.
Thanks.
Mhm.
Hey, you know, that hair could use a little trim now. What you think?
Okay.
See you later.
Uh-huh.
You certainly have some fine things, Mrs. Purvis.
Betty.
Betty. And the prices are more than reasonable.
You want me to write up that sewing kit with the quilted handle? I saw you really eyeing that.
I would, but I would like to wait and bring my husband in and meet you and see all your fine wares. Thank you, and God bless you both.
Bye.
Can I help you?
No thanks. I'm just looking.
Of course you are. Would you mind closing the door on your way out?
Be glad to.
For my name's sake shall receive 100-fold. Did I do something wrong? Was I not supposed to sell everything and open a store? I mean, everything's just the way I saw it. The counters, the shelves. But to the people, it's just a curiosity. I'm just a curiosity. Farmer who thought he could open a store. For free. What is wrong with you? Would you just do anything that I say? What if I said, hey, let's climb up on the roof and jump off the sign? Would you follow me?
Don't make fun of the sign, and don't make fun of the vision. I had a vision from God. I believe that.
How do you know? Did you see it? How do you know it wasn't heat stroke?
Do you know I've been praying for you ever since we first met? I believe that Jesus brought us together, and God has sustained us, and He has put us here, now, and He gave you that vision. Honey, I know you. You're not that creative. You couldn't have come up with that on your own. Come on, let's go to bed, okay?
Oh, you mean the burlap you draped over the bags of sugar?
You don't deserve sugar. But I will put a sack on the pickle barrels for you.
I'll be in a minute. I'm sorry. Forgive me. Man. You know, we got the name right. I'll be better tomorrow. Thanks again for Betty.
Y'all still have some mighty fine things. Ma'am?
Mrs. Abramson.
Let's see. Betty, A.D. This is my cousin, Carl Kennedy. He and his wife, Helen, just bought the 500 acres south of us. Carl has 8 children.
Don't go rushing, Aggie. We have 7, but Helen is with child, as they say. We might have us a Christmas baby.
Did you stop by just to see what the oddity was all about?
No time for sightseeing, Mr. Purvis. I came to buy, if that's all right. Now, I need 6 of those, and, I need 4 of those. And what do you call those on the top shelf there?
We call those, things, Mr. Kennedy.
Well, I need some things. Now, Aggie tells me you two are Christian folks who don't charge a profit.
That's right, Carl.
But you wouldn't be opposed to a little Christian kindness if someone was so led?
We would not.
Well, get your pencil ready, Mrs. Purvis. I'm about to bring in my wife and 7 wild little Baptists, and we are going to do some thing shopping.
I remember they had these wooden counters, long wooden counters, and your groceries, they didn't have grocery carts, and you just picked up what items you wanted and you carried them up, and you had a little space at the counter where you you collected your groceries. And of course, it wasn't as big as, or at least the grocery part wasn't as big as today's Kroger or Randall's or someone, but overall the store was huge because it had so many different things there.
They always made us welcome in her store, because she would always, and my mother would take us and we'd buy shoes, because at the time when I came along, my mother had 15 children. She had 7 boys and 8 girls. So when I came along, it was 5, and so she'd bring us. And Miss Purvis was real sweet, and my mother was named Galilee, and she'd say, all right, Galilee, what you need today? So she'd just line us up, and we'd get the little shoes they call Buster Browns. The little brown lace-up shoes had 5 laces, and we'd each get a pair of shoes to go to school. And we wore the long stockings to wear to school, and we'd always come to Miss Purvis to get our school clothes.
And so as you came into it, there was a certain transition from the outside to the inside. Certainly was not air conditioned, but it was a big, tall building, rough-hewn shelving. And today we go into a store and we expect our shelving to be very streamlined and sleek, but then it was obviously handcrafted or site-crafted. You'd have the potatoes in a big bin and the onions in a big bin, and the shoes would be down here on racks and stacks. So it was a rough-hewn thing. The floor was rough wood, wide boards, and as you walk along it in my cowboy boots, you could hear the clunk, clunk, clunk. It was just a total sensation of smell, sights, and sounds.
One of my probably fondest memories is just running across the big front porch that they had. And it was a big old long front porch, and my mother would always tell us, don't run across the front porch. Y'all gonna fall and hurt yourself. But guess what we as kids did? We would run across the porch.
Porch went the entire length of the store, and on the east end of the store at the far end was a barber shop.
A fellow by the name of John Scroggins operated that. That old barber said, he cut my hair when I was 18 inches long.
And Herbert Hoff was the butcher at that point in time. We always talked to him. And during Christmas, they would have a light fudge candy that was sold in squares, and we would eat that with fresh walnuts. So those are the things I remember.
It was God Mercy, but we used to call it too. We said, God have mercy store. And I remember Miss Purvis and Mr. Purvis. And my dad and my mother used to drive up here in a Model T. And we would sit in the back and we would come to the store. And Miss Purvis was real sweet. And back then they had, kids, they was most interested in candy and gum. And back then you could get, take a nickel and you could just buy a whole bag of candy. They had little bins in the store, and they had all kind of candies, and we'd call them 7-Ups. And we could take a nickel and we would take a penny and get 7 pieces of candy for a penny. And a nickel, we'd just get a whole bag of candy. And Miss Purvis never did call us by our name. She said, come on, child, what you want? And she was so sweet, and she just let us have the run of the store.
I remember Mr. A.D., for some reason he liked my brother, Carl, and myself, and he would pick us up, sit us up on the counter next to the candy and the ice cream, and we could just ask for anything we wanted, and he would just always give it to us. And my mother would get mad at us because we would, she thought we'd taken advantage of him, but he was a very nice man.
Mrs. Purvis, she had an ice cream cone that went up to a double header, And for a nickel, you would get about 4 dips of ice cream on top of that, pushed down in there. That was always a treat from Mother to me for being a good boy.
When I had a paper route here in Waller, I had delivered a paper called the Houston Press. It's no longer publication, but I had, I believe, 60 customers that I delivered on my horse. And I'd throw the papers, and I'd always have one paper left over. And I could sell it in town because there was always somebody wanting to buy a paper. So I'd sell it for 5 cents, a nickel for a paper. I'd go to Purvis's store, and I could buy a bottle of soda water for 4 cents. That's what they charged me, was 4 cents. And I'd use that penny to buy me a piece of candy, and I'd eat that on the way home. I'd be sure I ate it all up before I got home because I had 2 younger brothers, and they wanted to help me eat my candy, but I always eat it myself.
My sister had a lot of clips in this, in one of the history books there. And in one of them, she had mentioned that she had worked there at the store on Saturdays and sometimes in the summer. And even after she was in college, she worked there. And she told me one time about that occasionally over near the cash register, there was just one cash register, all the transaction went through that cash register, and somebody handling change would drop a coin, and there happened to be a crack in the floor near that cash register, and sometimes that penny or quarter would just roll right to that crack and fall on the store. She told me about that, and so one day when my friend and I were there, and we wanted 4 cents for a soft drink. That's what soft drinks were even up into the 50s. They were still 4 cents. And so my friend crawled under the store, and I stood over by the cash register as near as I could without attracting too much attention, and kind of tapped on the floor in that area, and he found the spot and came out, I think, with 35 cents or something. And so that bought several soft drinks.
My mother, Gertrude Robertson Cruz, she worked there for over 10 years, I'm sure, from about 1928 to 1939, thereabouts. And, of course, she had friends there. I knew the Purvises, Miss Purvis, Irvin, Mr. Purvis. Mother's friend that worked there was Elizabeth Blackford, and probably others that I've forgotten over time.
Remember, we bought our first TV from them, you know, and that was very exciting to have a TV, you know. The neighbors down the road had a TV, but we didn't. But Mr. Irvin is the one that, I guess they were selling TVs, and he must have had a very good buy on one, and so my dad bought it for us, and we just thought we were in heaven then to have a television.
They also had a, I don't know the name, but it was a thing where we would shell corn and bring it and have them grind the corn, make cornmeal.